When COVID happened in March, I lost my job, which was like scary because like everything
Sure.
was like it was such a weird time. And then when like everything shut down, my entire thing from like January to March was that I didn't have enough time. I'm like I'm doing way too many hours here. When I have
hmm
the time, I'm gonna be able to start something,
hmm
right? So when like March happened and like I had the free time, like I still didn't make it work.
Sure.
It's just because I wasn't disciplined enough. Like I do maybe three outreaches one day, I do five another day. I wouldn't do any for like a week.
hmm
And where like things really started kicking off was when they decided to call me back for work, and
hmm
I decided to take the jump and like not go back and going in this like full time.
Hey guys, how's it going? Brad Riley here and welcome to this video. And in this one today, I have an interview with one of my students, Sani. Now, what is absolutely insane about Sani is in the last 30 days, he was able to go from 0 to 13 to 14,000 Canadian dollars per month within his agency. So these results are absolutely crazy. He's got a fantastic story to share with you, so I highly recommend you stay until the end. Now, if you are interested in learning the exact same things that I taught to Sani, I highly recommend you check out my Entrepreneur Accelerator Mastermind. The link is in the description. Super low cost, massive high value. I recommend you check that out. I really hope you do enjoy this interview. Without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it going? Brad Riley here and welcome to another video. And in this one today, I'm joined with one of my students, Sani, and he's got a pretty incredible story. In the last 30 days, well, in October of this year, he went from pretty much having zero revenue collected in September to making over 13,000 Canadian dollars in his agency last month. You got an incredible story, man. I can't wait for you to share it with everyone. And yeah, thanks so much for being here, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Of course. So just to start off, before we jump into it, why don't you tell people a little bit about your story? Because you've had a pretty crazy kind of roller coaster over the last few months, right? You've gone from being in a position where you had no money. Like I remember, I just told you just a minute ago, I was looking at a message back in April where you said you had to jump out of the community for a month because you couldn't afford the $30 to now last month you made 13K, right? So yeah, tell people a little bit about your story and kind of what you've gone through over the last 12 months and led you to today.
So I was actually in university for 2 years and I was doing engineering.
hmm
Wasn't really feeling it. My parents kind of forced me to kind of go that path.
Sure.
Uh, and like my passion was always like working out. It was like fitness. So I actually got my personal training certificate while I was in school. And when I got out, I was working at a gym called LA Fitness.
hmm
So I worked my way up and I got into management within the year. And the thing was like, although like fitness was my passion, like I spent so many hours there. It was like 60, 70 hours a week.
hmm
And like at the end of the day, like I didn't even want to work out. So like my passion slowly started fading and it was
hmm
just like me clocking in hours like every single week.
Sure.
And I always knew that like, I always wanted to start a business. And that's why I wanted to have the personal training certificate to kind of start off.
hmm
Uh, I actually hired someone at work that kind of told me about like social media marketing.
hmm
So then I kind of started doing my own research, and it was a crazy few months. Like I tried cold calling, all that. I was like, yeah, it doesn't work. And
Sure.
then when COVID happened in March, I lost my job, which was like scary because like everything
Sure.
was like it was such a weird time. And then when like everything shut down, my entire thing from like January to March was that I didn't have enough time. I'm like I'm doing way too many hours here. When I
hmm
have the time, I'm gonna be able to start something,
hmm
right? So when like March happened and like I had the free time, like I still didn't make it work.
Sure.
It's just because I wasn't disciplined enough. Like I do maybe three outreaches one day, I do five another day. I wouldn't do any for like a week.
hmm
And where like things really started kicking off was when they decided to call me back for work, and
hmm
I decided to take the jump and like not go back and going in this like full time. And that's when I
Sure.
reached out to you. And yeah, and we're here now.
For sure, man. So when they reached out to you to come back to work at that time, had you had no clients and you were just like, you know what, I'm going to commit and go all in at this point?
Yeah, because you had the process like laid out in your mentorship, like with the teachable the course that you have, like you
hmm
had everything lined out. And I was like, if I go back, I'm gonna be complacent
hmm
and I won't have the time. It'll be 70 hours. I'm like, I have to take the jump now. It's like now or never. I
Sure.
had like a little bit of money saved, but I was like, okay. So I just went all in. I hired a VA right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Took your advice. I even sent you my proposal and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out. It worked out.
For
I
sure,
hit
man.
the 5K mark around that time.
Sure. So this is something I wanted to speak about because, you scaled up really quickly in a short period of time. You went from like 0 to 5K, right? And then from there, you kind of dropped back down to 0. Like you said, with COVID and stuff like that, a couple of people had to put on pause and everything. And then out of nowhere, 0 to 13K last month. So what would you say was the biggest difference going from 0 to 5, then going from then 0 again back up to say 13K? Like what different skills did it take? Was it just because you had a different mindset, had done it before, or kind of where was your mindset at with that?
Yeah, so July and August, I was around the 5K mark. It was like hovering. August, it kind of dropped a little bit, but like I was complacent because I went from March, April, May, June to not making anything to having 5K coming in, and I got a little complacent. So my outreach wasn't happening, so everything kind of like dropped, and like I wasn't taking as many sales calls.
Sure.
So everything that got me to that point, I wasn't doing anymore.
Sure.
So like what I did was I realized, and it was kind of scary because like I used up I was making 5K for July, August, September. I was like, okay, everything's kind of dropping. I'm not getting any new clients. And I looked back at what I was doing before, and like you suggested, I was tracking everything. I started building some systems. I hired VAs, and whether I felt like it or not in the morning, like my outreach was getting done.
It became a necessity, right? It was like your non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Awesome,
so
man.
The biggest thing was just the outreach.
Awesome, man. So basically it was a case of you had the system in place, you knew what worked to get you to 5. Let's just do more of it again. And comes back to discipline again, right? It become a non-negotiable for you. You wake up every morning and you do it, whether you want to, whether you don't want to, whether you're motivated, whether you're, you just wake up and you hit your outreach every single day. And it's insane what a little bit of discipline can achieve, right?
Yeah, honestly, it's just like as a person, like in August and July, I was still had systems in place, but I was still I'd go out with my friends, all that. I literally had to level up as a person. Like I started meditating, I started journaling, I started the biggest thing that you said in your course as well is the value of your own time. So I literally started tracking every single hour.
Do you use the tracking sheet that I provide where you track down the minutes?
I looked at it. I actually made my own little version of it just because I like to have it beside me.
Nice. Fantastic, man. Yeah, it's awesome, right? Isn't it? Just to see where that goes. And I bet, because I remember the first time I ever did that. So interesting story on that. I read a book called 168 Hours. And that was the book I was reading at the time that I actually quit my job. So I've got a lot of sentimental value to that book. But it was interesting because that book, when I read that book and started implementing where my time was, I did that just as I was starting my business. And I'm assuming yours is the same. I was writing this down and I was like, oh my God, I waste so much time. Like I thought I was real productive, but I was wasting the time. Was you the same way?
Yeah, 100%. When I saw that sheet, I was like, you know what, let's just try it. And I thought I was doing everything I could, but there'd be hours gone where I would just be on my phone. I started tracking my screen time as well. And it's just crazy where the time goes and you don't even realize it.
For sure. That 2 hours that you're on your phone, or I mean, to be honest, I think for most people, 2 hours is low, right? But even that 2 hours that you're on your phone, if you put that into outreach, 20 outreach an hour, 15 outreach an hour, I mean, you're talking 30, 40 applications a day, and if you're tracking all that stuff and you're making updates to your profile and your scripts and stuff, at that point there, if you stay disciplined and then make tweaks, that you're going to be successful if you continue with it. That's awesome, man. So what are your next steps now? Because obviously we were speaking about this just before we jumped on this interview, but you've scaled very quick now. So you said something you're juggling around is obviously building the systems, because where you're at right now won't get you up to that 20, 30K. So what are you going to be doing differently to get to that mark now?
One thing that I always kind of struggled with is I was doing that, I was doing the results work myself. So I would do the Facebook ads. So then when I get piled up with too much work, I would slow down the outreach. And I know that's not the correct thing to do if I'm trying to scale to 20 or 30. So it's that value for my own time. So I need to start delegating the work, the outreach. I need to delegate everything and actually kind of remove myself from the system. So I can increase outreach and I can just focus on the sales aspect for now.
Absolutely. Because that's the thing. It's finding the balance between doing the outreach and getting the clients, but also making sure your current clients are happy. I think you're doing the right thing, because what a lot of people do, and I made this mistake in the beginning, is you do all the outreach, you get the clients, the money's coming in, and then you don't actually deliver for those clients, but you still do the outreach, which is one problem. The other problem is you don't hire and you get the results and you're not doing the outreach, which is also a problem. So you're doing the best thing. Like for someone who just wants to make 5-6K a month, cool, you can do it all yourself, right? But if you're wanting to scale to that next level, you have to have those systems. So what platforms are you using? I know you use Upwork. Is that kind of your single focus? Do you use other methods? Like how are you getting these customers?
So another thing that I actually got from your the course as well was like the Trello masterclass. That was a game changer because that lets me like track everything, and I use it for not even just like work related stuff. I use it to track my expenses, like everything. So and there I actually have like one section for like all my lead generation. So I have Upwork, LinkedIn, email, Instagram, Facebook, and I'm looking to maybe doing paid ads later too. But right now I'm just focusing on Upwork just because like I know because at that time in October or in September where I didn't make that much, I didn't want to just risk into starting something new. I knew with Upwork, I knew what my numbers were because I tracked them. I knew if I put, if I do 100 outreaches, I'm going to get one client because the numbers like add up. Right.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, I'm just going to focus on that. I'm going to go all in for this month. And when I have cash flow coming in, I'm going to actually hire a VA and I'm just going to go in and start another one until I learn my numbers for that. And then I'll start another one.
Just repeating the process, right?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, that's awesome. And just to like give context to people, like when you say track your numbers, what exactly do you track? Like obviously I know this because I helped you with it, but like tell the people what are you tracking when you're tracking your outreach numbers?
So what I mean by numbers is we used to do this for work as well because I worked in sales before. So it's basically tracking exactly the number of outreaches. So with work, it's like phone calls. So track number of outreaches and whatever you're doing, whether that's email sent, proposal sent, whatever it may be. Track replies that you've received. And then also like out of those replies, how many meetings you get. And then out of those meetings, how many closes you get. So that way I know I can like backtrack and be like, okay, sweet. So for one close, I need to do like 3 meetings, and out of 3 meetings, to get 3 meetings, I have to do this many outreaches.
For sure. So, do
you
know those numbers off the top of your head, roughly what you kind of get?
I'm getting like a 10 to 15% response rate. And my close rate's like fairly high just because like the leads are like very, very warm.
Sure.
So it's like, I don't need to convince them on the Facebook ads aspect. It's just making sure that I'm the right person for the job.
Sure.
And then I have enough experience to convey that. So my numbers, I think it's per 100. Like it's rough, and I haven't really looked at the doc, but just because I was been busy taking calls and like the last month was crazy. But I think it's for every 100 outreaches that I do, I get about maybe 10 responses, and a lot of those, like because I said my VA right now, I need to take a look because he's not doing like the greatest outreaches. But because I was like, he's also doing some things right. So because I was getting bombarded with calls and I was like closing them, I wasn't really like worried about that right now. But for every 100 calls, for every 100 outreaches, I have 10 replies, and out of those 10 replies, I'll get like 5 meetings, and out of those 5 meetings, I'll get like 1 or 2 closes. So 1 in every 50, I think, or 1 in every 70. 50 to 70 is like what my numbers are.
And that's like
sorry, it was like really rough. Like I don't know. I haven't looked at the doc.
No, well that's cool. I mean, rough is good. Either way, whether it's 50, 70, 100. It's so profitable for you. I mean, all you have to weigh up is if you're doing Upwork, there's some connect costs involved after a certain level, and then the VA's time. But even let's say, you're paying $5 an hour, average VA does 20 outreach an hour. Even if it's let's lowball it and say 100, 5 hours work for a VA to get 100 outreach. That's $25 plus, a little bit on connects. Even if you pay $100 for that, on average, you're closing 1 to 2 clients at maybe an average of $1,000 a month. I mean,
yeah, what was crazy? I actually tracked it for I think it was, August. So I actually spent 500, or I think it's 600 total that month, and I put on 3,600 in terms of revenue.
And that's monthly revenue, right? So that can come in the month after. Yeah, for sure. That's fantastic, man. So
actually, the crazy thing is, I actually wasn't pushing for like the 3 months. I was just selling them as they were. That is something I changed this month. So like the 10K or like the 13,000 that I sold last month, I don't have to sell that again. Like I just realized how powerful it is to actually set up reoccurring payments, because now anything that I sell this month is just going to go on top of that.
Absolutely. And that's the benefit of, the recurring revenue model. That's why the agency model is so good, because, you can as long as you get good results and you can keep your clients, like getting them is one thing and then keeping them is another game entirely, right? But as long as you can keep those clients and keep them happy, if you land 10 clients, you could run a very, very busy, you could be like, you know what, I'm done scaling right now. I'm just going to focus on these 10 and live quite a comfortable lifestyle. But I know you want to scale up, so that's not what you're going to do, but
yeah. As long as you're getting the results, there's like no way they'd like want to leave because you're generating them like a lot of profit.
For sure, man, for sure. Awesome. Well, we'll definitely have to do another interview again in a few months because I've got no doubt that you're going to get to that 20, 30, 40K a month mark. So we'll definitely get you back on the channel when you do that. Just a couple final questions then for you. One simple piece of advice, if someone's just starting out, maybe they don't even have their first client yet, what would be some advice for them, just if they're like you, maybe they've got those limiting beliefs of, I don't have enough time yet, or I'm not old, I'm too young, I'm not, I'm too old, whatever it may be, what would your advice be to those people?
Just like, I'd say just trust the process, and everything is, the only two things that you should literally be focusing on is just getting more appointments and just getting like your sales like skills in place to actually close those appointments. Basically, yeah, simply put, like just getting more appointments, that should be like the main focus. Because I think when a lot of people start to get overwhelmed with so much stuff that needs to be done, and I think in the first few months where I made zero, it was because I was like focused on building up a website. I was focused on like stuff that wouldn't really do nothing.
Of course,
and nothing changed until I got that reach in place. So if you don't have enough time, hire a VA. Like Brad has like a bunch that he can kind of recommend to you guys. So yeah, the biggest thing is there's no excuses. You literally have to just do the tasks that get you to where you want to be. And as a person, you literally need to like have those habits set in place. So whether you feel like it or you don't, like that reach gets done.
Comes back to two things again, doesn't it? Discipline and outreach. Discipline to do outreach. And if you do that, and and even the thing is, what you have to think is like, if outreach doesn't work for you at that time, it's not that doesn't work, it's that the way you're doing it isn't working. So you may need to tweak the script. You may need to tweak the businesses you're reaching out to. Like, it's not that it doesn't work. It's just, if you can stay disciplined enough to make those changes and no matter what, just continue doing it. That's
100%. So that's why you want to track your numbers. Because if you know that you haven't got something, like if something's not working, you change a variable and then see what the numbers come out to.
Absolutely. I love that. And then finally, for anyone who's on the edge, maybe they've looked into my mastermind, they've not joined it, but maybe they're on the edge. What would you say to those people who are kind of considering it?
It's a no-brainer. Like this is literally the biggest thing. Like, and there's a lot of resources I haven't went through yet as well. But like your support, like whenever I message you, I always get a reply back. There's a full community, and you literally have everything laid out. It's like from the files that we need, and I use them on a consistent basis to like actually as a person, like because you are your business. Like you have like so many like little like master classes on how to level up as a person. So it helps you like outside of that as well.
Awesome.
It's a no-brainer, especially for the price. Like you're definitely undercharging, man.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to charge more. That's what I like. Like most people charge $1,000. It's like, I'll just put it at $29 a month, and there's a 30-day money back guarantee. So like, even if you don't like it after 29 days, cool. Like I try to make it like a no-brainer to people as well. So hopefully, it's cool as well, because, the way I see it from that perspective is, when you messaged me back in April, whenever it was, and because you got left off from your job or whatever, got laid off from your job, maybe if it wasn't $29 a month, you may not have been able to come back, and then you may not have taken the appropriate action to then get the next steps. But I see it as by it being low price, it can hopefully help more people as well. So but yeah, I appreciate that, man. So what we'll have to do when you hit 20, 30, 40K, let's get you back on the channel. We'll do another interview, and
awesome.
You can share it with everyone else. But you mentioned before you didn't have anything that you wanted to share, but if you are in the community, Sunny's going to be in there, so you can message him, chat to him and everything. And so I really appreciate you coming on here, doing the interview. You didn't have to, you got nothing here to promote. So I appreciate you, man. And to more success, bro. Let's make it happen.
Of course. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for everything, man.
Appreciate it. Cheers, man.
Okay, so there we have it. I hope you found a bunch of value in this video today. If you did, please drop a like and consider subscribing. And as mentioned in the video, if you are interested in having me mentor you, guide you, train you, coach you for a really low cost, you want to learn the exact same things that I taught to Sani to have this crazy success, highly recommend you check out the link in the description. 30-day money back guarantee, super low cost. There's a full training area with hundreds of hours worth of content. You get access to me and the student support team. We have weekly live calls and a bunch of other benefits, so check that out. The link is in the description. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.